SPCA helps thousands of unwanted dogs and cats find homes every year. But they're not the only ones. There are dozens of special rescue operations that help unwanted pets get a new leash on life. And I'd like to introduce you to some of the men and women who donate their time and money to help these unfortunate animals. These are some of the thousands of North Texas foot soldiers in hand-to-paw combat with irresponsible pet owners. So-called masters whose behavior is anything but masterful.
She does need a home, and she's got heartworms that will need to be treated. She's a good girl, aren't you? Yes, you're a good girl.
Vets across the Metroplex are on the front lines of the pet population explosion, seeing tens of thousands of neglected dogs like this every year. Now, if owners would just fix their animals so they can't do what comes naturally, the population could be controlled without having to put to sleep canines and felines that never awaken again.
That it is a responsibility for the life of the animal.
People tend to think this is a disposable society, and so we're here to help to adopt out the animals that can be adopted.
PETCO's 500 stores are perfect places for rescue organizations from Danes to Dachshunds to strut their stuff. For those looking for love and companionship, this is just what the veterinarian ordered.
Most of the dogs would be euthanized. A lot of these dogs are on death row in the area shelters.
You're so good, Baxter.
Very gentle.
You are the one. You're the one, honey. I love you.
Not just anyone, though, can adopt an animal. There are background checks to make sure that those promising a good home didn't abandon or abuse an animal in the past.
And there were three they told us to look at. This was the one I fell in love with, and his name's Alexander.
Without the idea of adopting a dog that's maybe been abused and not taken care of.
And then when somebody comes in and adopts them, it's kind of bittersweet. We miss the animal, but it makes us so happy to put an animal in a good, loving home. And of course, that opens up the room for us to rescue another animal.
Sit, sit, sit.
This is Abby, a lab who was found on the internet by a loving family who made the most compassionate clicks of their lives.
I think that we did a very good thing. Not only did we save an animal from being put to sleep needlessly, because as you can see, she's a wonderful pet, but she really has enhanced our family. She really has given us a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. And I'm not sorry, not 1 second, even when I have to get up in the middle of the night.
There are thousands of dogs just like Abby and loving people who can provide permanent homes. And if you would like to know more, you can contact the SPCA of Texas, or you can log on to our website at www.wb33.com and click on news. And most importantly, all of us as pet owners have to care for our pets for their entire lives. And joining me now is Tammy Bergere and Chandler, a little 8-week-old Great Dane that was rescued, and also Terri Gunn from PETCO. Let me start with you, Tammy. We saw you in the piece, and I guess I should say that I know Tammy quite well. We've adopted 2 Great Danes and fostering a 3rd, but just tell us about the rescue operations, not just Great Danes, but the numbers of people out there and what you actually do.
Basically, you name the breed, and there is a rescue organization out there in the shelters trying to rescue them. We take them from owners, we get their vet care, spay and neuter them, get them caught up on vaccinations, heartworm treat them, and then we go out to the mobile adoptions and try to find good permanent homes for them.
And one of the people that has been very instrumental, and a company that's been instrumental in the mobile adoptions, Terri Gunn of PETCO. You have 500 stores. As you said in that piece, I mean, you don't sell dogs or cats anymore, but you obviously are very committed to finding homes for unwanted animals.
Oh, absolutely. What PETCO is trying to do is we want to raise public awareness of the plight of homeless, needy, or abandoned animals, and special needs dogs like Chandler who need a good home, and we want to try to give them a second chance at the life they really deserve.
You're also very instrumental in trying to to sort of put a stop to the population explosion. Just tell us a little bit about the PETCO Foundation and nonprofit foundation and what you do to try to make sure that dogs, as I said in that piece, don't necessarily, and cats don't do what comes naturally.
Okay. PETCO Foundation was actually formed in February of '99. And it was because PETCO stores had diversified so much in the way they worked with animal welfare groups, we needed a way to manage our charitable endeavors. And so what PETCO Foundation does is try to, through in-house adoptions, through on-site adoptions, as you've seen, also through fundraisers and education. And part of education is spaying and neutering the animals to get rid of the overpopulation problem.
Tammy, let's just look at Chandler sound asleep here. I guess I'm putting him to sleep. But just tell us about Chandler and, I mean, the kinds of, I mean, as you said, there are many breeds, and the SPCA has multiple types of dogs, I mean, breeds and mixed breeds and everything else. So, I mean, we don't want to just think that just the rescues are just for, you know, specific dogs that are going to end up in dog shows or something like that. These are all neglected or abandoned dogs that you and your colleagues and other associations actually have taken care of and found new homes for.
Right, we get, excuse me, we get anything from show quality dogs to the most abused situations that you can imagine. And we take what we find and we do the best we can with them. Of course, the show quality dogs are easier to adopt because that's what a lot of people are looking for. We also find that special needs dogs such as Chandler, a lot of people open their hearts out to them, and it's almost easier to find homes for them because people want to feel like they've done something important in their life, and one of those things would be to help an animal that is in great need.
Terri, let me ask you, as you've started this program and as it's grown in terms of the mobile adoptions and using your storefronts for that, or even in the stores, I've been over there in days when it was not a nice day outside and you had all the dogs inside. Have you seen a tremendous difference sort of in how people look at the dogs and the fact that they're more concerned about adopting them than necessarily going to a breeder or something like that?
I think the people that come into our stores or that come to the adoption events at the stores, I think they're definitely, their heart's in the right place and they're looking for a dog for the right reasons, as opposed to the people who go out and say, well, I want to go find a dog, and they go to a pet store that does sell dogs and cats and they see one and it's very much an impulse buy, because most of the groups, like Great Dane Rescue, really take a look at the people who are adopting the animals.
Yeah, we saw them. I mean, obviously you go through a background check and they have to fill out the paperwork and make sure that they didn't abuse a dog or neglect a cat in the past to be able to adopt them. Well, thank you both very much for being here. And Chandler?
Thank you for having us.
Sweet dreams. And coming up next, we're going to talk to Dr. Laurie Kutch of CREEKSIDE Animal Hospital in Arlington, who makes it her practice to help dogs in need. And we'll talk to her right after this. Welcome back to DFW Close-Up, everyone. I'm joined now by Dr. Laurie Kutch of the CREEKSIDE Animal Hospital in Arlington, and also Warren Cox again from the SPCA, and Chandler right here. There's a little Great Dane, 8 weeks old, who needs a home. So if you'd be interested, you can give us a call, or we'll tell you how to do that a little bit later. Doctor, let me start with you at CREEKSIDE Animal Hospital. One of the things that you see a lot in your practice, obviously, is the pet overpopulation problem, and you've really gone out of your way, you and your colleagues at CREEKSIDE, to help animal rescue groups like the Dane Rescue Group and others. Just tell us about why that's so important to your practice.
Well, we've been working with a couple of rescue groups basically since we opened. We just really want to make sure that everyone is spaying and neutering their pets. We see so many pets that are treated as a throwaway commodity, and they spay their pet and don't make any more puppies. That makes more puppies that can be adopted by someone else. So we want to see a pet that someone can keep for many years.
And Warren, you were just, as a matter of fact, this week, I mean, there was a spaying program for a nickel for a neuter, I guess it was. Just tell us about that and how closely you work with area veterinarians.
Well, this program that we're talking about is Neuter Scooter for a nickel. It's neuter all male. For a nickel, you can neuter any male cat that you bring in on that particular day, not only to the SPCA of Texas, but many of the other veterinarians that participated throughout the state. And we, on that one day, it was 200, it was well over 200 animals, or cats, that were neutered in that day, which stops a tremendous amount of the reproduction, as well as stopping a lot of the cat fights and a lot of the other problems that go with it. so that they don't have to be brought into, like with a doctor here, to patch them up. So it really makes a big difference.
Doctor, tell us something about, I mean, you have some pet owners, obviously, that are sort of partway there in terms of responsibly caring for their animals. We talked about that a little bit before the show. Just elaborate on that, though, about what you see in your day-to-day practice.
Right, we see a lot of owners that understand maybe that they need to have a rabies shot for their animal, but maybe don't understand that they need to be on heartworm preventative. In this area, we see so much in the way of heartworms, that they need to spay their pets, that they need to provide them good shelter, and that this is an animal they're going to have for a long, long time. So they just need to do more to be committed to that animal. As
Warren said in the first piece here, this is like a 15-year commitment. What about those people out there that are watching this, obviously the nickel program, but in terms of the cost, I mean, is there availability of the PETCO Foundation and others that are trying to help people that say, well, I can't have my pet fixed because we just can't afford it?
There's a lot of programs out there that'll help them out and provide some of that, and there's spay day, and there's different things that'll give them a discount that way.
So there's really no excuse if somebody really thinks about it, I mean, and wants to do it.
No, there's no excuse.
What do you think is the reason that people don't do it then? If money's not the issue, then why don't they do it? Is it a freedom thing? I mean, I have a hard time understanding why people won't take care of them.
Yeah. Some people, you know, they really want their animal to have puppies. They say, well, my animal's so cute, I really think it should have some puppies. But then that's one less puppy somewhere else that's not going to get a home. They may have, they just are opposed to that. They think, well, I've got it in the yard and it's not going to get around any other animals, and then another animal hops the fence, and here we have a litter of puppies that we've got to provide a home for. So it's hard for them to really understand the whole thing. Plus there's health issues if they don't spay and neuter their pets. It can prevent them having breast cancer and from having pyometras and end up having emergency surgery.
Warren, obviously there's another issue that we haven't even really talked about. I mean, we've talked about unwanted and neglected, but in maybe 100,000 cats and dogs every year in the Metroplex that are ending up that way. But there's also an awful lot that are actually killed by cars. I mean, I think you said somewhere around 14,000 in our previous discussions.
It may even be greater than that, because that's just probably the numbers that that have been reported by the street departments that have picked them up. And then there's those great number that we never know what happened to them. That's the other reason. Keep your pets at home. Keep identification on them, and then go look for them. Our biggest problem is, like in Dallas County, we have 18 different municipalities to look for. You don't know where it's going to end up. Tarrant County's even is probably about the same. So put a tag on it, keep it on it, microchip it, and then go look for it.
Doctor, do you see a lot of that, I guess, in your practice? Obviously, you see them from the rescue groups, but do you just see a lot of dogs that just sort of show up, that they just dropped off there and nobody knows who they belong to? We see a lot of animals that people will bring in and they just found them on the road. We've had animals dumped in our parking lot. We have a lab there right now that one of my employees found on the side of the road, just emaciated, and she's got heartworms, but she's put on her weight now and she looks real good, and she's needing a home. We got 2 cats that need homes, so they find their way to us. And Warren, one more time, just talk about the programs that you are really stressing in terms of retention and prevention, just very quickly.
Well, one is spay-neuter, and this is something that the veterinarians can help with too. Early spay-neuter is really, it can be done. So we need to push spay-neuter. We need to talk about training, behavior modification. We need to talk about identification for permanent. The tag is great, microchip is better. Those are good ways for prevention. Retention is that if you got a problem of a training problem, do something about it first. Just don't discard the animal, because that means it's going to be recycled. Okay. And obviously, we're going to have to teach people to be more responsible. That's right. Good luck doing that, Doctor. Thank you. When we come back in a moment, we're going to have some important information for you, and we'll have that right after this.